Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
And today we'll be discussing Season 1, Episode 10, She Wouldn't Be Gone. And we will be having a spoiler-free discussion and then a spoiler-filled one. So if you're new to Wynonna Earp and don't want to be spoiled, don't worry. We'll have a warning, several, before we start talking about the spoiler stuff. And if you're not new, then don't worry. We can have all the fun spoiler discussion up until whatever Season 3 speculation we have at the time. So with that quick note, Lara, do you have a quick recap for the episode?
I do. Hoping to track down an enemy of Bobo's who may have answers, Dolls and Wynonna head to Pine Barrens, but a cult there harbors a shocking secret.
Shocking indeed. So, where would you like to start?
Well, the episode title comes from the Blake Shelton song of the same name. I also like the title Gone, like for gone in the disconnected sense, and the literal missing meaning, so that's cool.
Excellent. Alrighty. I should have asked what you have about the title. I was not on top of my stuff, I guess. I know.
It's all good. I remembered.
I guess we should get your bad news out of the way about your body part count.
I don't know, man. Like, that wolf attack before the credits was really vicious. I feel like something had to have fallen off, you know?
I mean, you got a mauling. You still got a mauling, but I can't give you body parts.
Yes. All right.
I'm sorry.
I really felt like we were getting back on track, too.
I'm sorry. I just cannot give you the body parts.
All right. This entire episode is a bust for me, then.
I'm sorry. It's not like, anything major happened in the episode or anything.
Right, yeah. Nothing happened.
Nope, nothing at all. It's fine. We just met some crazy cult people, and, we may or may not have just discovered that Willa is still alive. Who can say for sure?
Who knows? Gus knows.
Gus seemed pretty sure that was Willa. And Wynonna seemed pretty sure after the Peacemaker stuff.
Yeah, she did.
And I know this is way at the end of the episode, but can I just say that that scene in the sheriff's station, like the way it's shot, the music and everything with people getting collecting their people from the cult and everything is such a great shot, scene. I love it so much.
It is. It was excellent. And it really sort of eased you into that reveal, emotionally charging it ahead of time, and you weren't really sure why, and then Gus's reaction at the end, it came together beautifully.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you get the hints at it, and then Dolls is trying to tell her hey, there's so many reasons Peacemaker should have worked, could have worked, and Wynonna's except there's kind of really only one, and just that it's so well done, and Melanie's face is so great.
Yeah.
She does great things with her face. Yeah, I know that's way at the end of the episode, but it's not like we do this thing in order anyway.
It's true.
Let's just cover everything.
Order.
And everything. Yeah, I know. Order. What's order? But yeah, and even just Gus recognizing her, and she dropped her bottle. Yeah, and you kind of weren't necessarily expecting it to be revealed quite like that, so.
Yeah.
It's good. We don't know what's up with her, how she's still around, so still have a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I wanted to mention that scene because it is one of my favorite scenes.
I like it. I'm a sucker for a cult. Can I talk about the cult?
No, see, we're not going to talk about the cult on this podcast.
I want to talk about the cult.
It's an episode about a cult, so nope, you are barred from talking about the cult.
All right. I'm going to steamroll right past that. So I love the cult. They are serving Canadian Winter Wonderland Coachella realness the entire episode. It's fantastic. Oh my God. The costumes, they're amazing. It's phenomenal. And I really like the work that you can see that the writing team sort of put behind fleshing this cult out, because there are always cult cornerstones, right? Conspiracy theories, religious extremism, or both, and he he sort of is this like worshipped figure, but he also makes comments about technology and stuff like that. So they're sort of weaving those two things together. And you got to have a uniform, right? If you're going to have a cult, you know, we see that with like the Rajneesh and stuff like that. So it's white and fur in this case. It's fabulous. And there's usually, you know, like it's not uncommon for there to be some kind of like a cleansing ritual. And in this case, it's a very literal, big public bath. Isolationism in the extreme, right? They're way off the map. Nobody's got any contact with, you know, the outside world. And, you know, we see far too often in cults, we see like one male leader for the many women followers. And they don't always start that way. Right. Yeah. But it usually works up to that. It's not that men don't fall into cults or anything, but like when they do, they're usually relegated to these like lesser roles. But any relationship going in, you know, usually dissolves because it's typical that, you know, if you've got one male leader and he's filling a role like that, like David Koresh, right? He's the only one allowed to, you know, sleep with any of the women or be with any of them, or he's their figurative husband and also their God and father. And it's all just really messy and weird. Yeah. But so in this case, we have like basically just a cult of women. I also thought Yiska's name was a really nice touch. Dolls tells us that it's Navajo, and I believe the name means the night has passed, which is just excellent work. So just shout out to the writing staff. Top-notch cult work here. Loved it.
10 out of 10 from Lara on the cult work. No, I mean, it's good. And, I mean, I know you love a good cult, and I mean, what more is there to say? I think you said it all. No, it was really well done, and I mean, the only thing that kind of, like, my immediate reaction with Eve, that's how I'm just going to call her the whole episode, throwing the cell phone in the fire, though, it's like my first thought was, you really shouldn't burn those, especially not inside. Like, no wonder they're easily swayed.
Yeah.
Those fumes!
I mean, I think it's supposed to be a symbolic burning, right? But like really it would have made so much more sense to just throw it in water that I was like, that's kind of silly, you know, like drop it in a toilet and we're done.
Well, I mean, they don't seem to be that advanced. They are using bedpans and stuff instead of having to go out to the outhouse, so. That's
a really good point. Put it on a bedpan, put it in a bedpan and wait. That's my advice.
Start vibrating and making noise in the bedpan. It's possible that burning, or in the tub, just throw it in the tub. They've got a big thing of water. I don't know why we.
True, yeah, right there, yeah. You're right.
I mean, obviously, when there's not somebody in there, because I feel like that would just not be great.
Right, so scrub-a-dub-dub Wynonna and then toss her phone in there when she gets out.
Or, like, make her do it. Like, it seems better than just tossing it in for her. How do you know how committed she is?
There you go. Ask her to lose all of her contacts, and then you'll know.
Exactly. No, wait, I needed those photos. Always back up your cell phones, folks.
True, yeah.
You never know when it might get lost to a cult fire.
Right.
Or a toilet. Derailed quickly. When don't we?
Right. And stay sexy and don't get murdered. I don't know. Yeah.
Can we say that?
all credit to My Favorite Murder.
Yes. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
With all of the things we reference. Credit where credit's due.
Exactly.
Great, excellent. So, yeah, I mean, Wynonna takes a trip to a cult.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I like how she gives her name as Courtney, like, just some random, boring-ass name. And I also like how she, she's just following this light in the middle of the woods, and then her immediate reaction is that she's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't follow random lights in the woods, Wynonna. Ooh. My Facebook just dinged. Why don't I mute that so that doesn't happen again? Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool cult. I mean, they were kind of liberal with the cattle prods, though. I mean, damn. Just shock everything, like when they got dolls there. I mean, they mentioned how they had to shock them a bunch. It's like, shit.
Thank God. Thank God it was cattle prods and not AK-47s, though. Am I right?
Well, I mean, they don't like guns, so. But yeah, I mean, it could be worse, but they seem a little cattle prod happy. I don't know.
And they totally were. I really liked Willa's cult name being Eve. Yeah. I thought that was cool because she has that conversation with Wynonna where she says that Jen helped her like settle in because the first night that Willa got there, she was just crying and Jen was really kind to her and all this stuff. So like, we know from that conversation that like, she was not the first girl in this cult.
Right.
So we're not using the name Eve in the sense of like the first woman. And if it does have biblical connotations to Yiska, you know, it would probably be either disobedience or pride, because there's kind of debate on like what Eve's first sin was, right? Was it disobedience to God or was it pride? And so I thought that was a really cool name for her because we see like several times in the episode, we see her challenging him and we see her like questioning him and we see his patience with her, like, you know, wearing thin. She's more outspoken than any other woman in that cult. So I wondered if like that was how she got the name or if it was more about, you know, like Eve's curse, which was, you know, like the curse that would follow, you know, women, you know, for throughout eternity, which was like to be subservient to your husband. So was, you know, like, was it a dig about her pride or was it, you know, was it to tell her role? Like your role is to be subservient to me. But anyway, I thought that was a really interesting name choice.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I should have expected you to jump into the biblical.
That's what 15 years of Sunday school will get you, Catherine.
I know. And I'm not mad about it because I do always appreciate it when you do that. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it though. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could have been. You could be onto something there with how they did that. You know, it's sometimes hard to tell. Like when you get stuff like that, it's kind of what exactly they were thinking as far as naming and stuff like that, especially with how important naming things is.
And, you know, Yiska's name is so specific. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't imagine calling her Eve was an accident, but.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, it has to be something significant. Again, just making it a little bit funnier. It's like you've got that, and then, like I said, Wynonna just picked a random name, you know.
Yeah, she's just Courtney. Yeah, right.
Yep. No, it's fine. She's fine. Yeah, and it is interesting that, you know, furthering the whole kind of cult thing is, you know, they did take it an extra step with removing their identities and giving them another name and stuff like that. Or, I mean.
Right, yeah.
Eve doesn't remember anything since Lou found her, so it might not have even been, like, she might not have known her name, and, like, we don't know if
he had to pick one.
Yeah, she named herself, or if, you know, if he named her and stuff like that. I shouldn't remember anything, but that's kind of...
Yeah, that's a good point.
That can be a broad statement. It's like, oh, I remember my name, or like, you know, or I remember enough to name myself or something like that, but...
Yeah.
Either way.
Too bad she didn't feel like a Joan.
And, you know, first Buffy reference in the first 15 minutes or so. Doing pretty good.
Personal best.
I think it is a personal best.
It might be.
Yay! Just get earlier and earlier into the episodes, which is fine. Listeners know by now what they're getting into.
I would hope.
That'd be pretty bad. You're in for Buffy references, some biblical stuff, and random body parts.
We also covered the power of certain crystals. I mean, I feel like we're pretty well-rounded.
We are. But we should probably stop patting ourselves on the back and get back to the episode, I guess.
Yeah, that's not attractive. Sorry. We're the worst.
Oh my god.
There.
I think that made us the worst.
Yeah, maybe it probably did.
We were fine until we did that. And we just lost all of our listeners.
Bye, I loved you.
They're already gone, Lara. They don't know that we love them. Anyway, so yeah, and immediately back to, even Wynonna. They feel that immediate connection and stuff like that. And it is kind of interesting because, Gus immediately recognizes Eve as Willow, but Wynonna doesn't. And I found that kind of interesting. With, how close they were and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't so much because I figured that, not that I didn't find it interesting. It's not that it wasn't interesting. I just figured that, Gus probably recognized her quicker for two reasons. She has a very clear picture in her head, most likely, of what Mama and Papa Earp look like. And also, she's a little farther from the situation, so she's not worried that she's projecting, right? She's like, oh, that's Willa. And also, she was older. You know what I mean? Gus was a grown woman. Yeah, the last time she saw Willa. So, yeah, it's probably a little fresher in her mind or a little more, cemented in her mind, in my opinion.
Yeah, there is a difference between, watching somebody grow up, as an adult and kind of growing up with somebody. And watching them change like that and stuff like that. I just thought it was interesting how it's for Wynonna, it was the feelings of familiarity and then seeing her shoot Peacemaker. So, which, she shot Peacemaker with mittens on, which was kind of impressive.
Right?
I'm not exactly sure how she did that because, mittens are kind of terrible. I don't understand why people actually use mittens, but, shooting a gun with mittens on seems like a bad idea. It's just going to be difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, as a rule, if you don't have a cursed or haunted gun, probably don't trust it to fire straight while you're wearing mittens. PSA.
I never expect anything to fire straight.
Right. There you go.
Obligatory gay joke.
Yeah, about that firing the gun thing. Because she shot at Lou and the bear was there. God, what is my question? So Lou,
I don't know.
Lou, who is Yiska, did not have the power to control animals, right? That was his wife shape-shifting into a bear and a wolf, and he was controlling her. Did I get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing was they took it from, I think it was Navajo, mythology and stuff like that. The idea of a skinwalker. So it was basically Lou married the skinwalker and then somehow got control of her. They didn't really, and then she did his bidding. So, yeah.
Okay.
So that's where the bear came from and, the wolf and everything.
Right, okay.
Yeah, which is actually, it's kind of an interesting mythology to just kind of explore a little bit, but they're definitely not the first show to use it. It's been in a number of, TV shows and stuff like that, but it's an interesting mythology, the idea of skinwalkers and stuff. But, yeah, I think, Dolls says it's Navajo, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he made a bear. Which is definitely what my note says. It's a bear. He made a bear.
He made a bear.
Yeah, I really do like how they did all that. And Lou is one of the few people that Bobo's scared of, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I like how, he has that line, that narcissist finally figure out that fur coat won't protect him, and that Lou has about Bobo, but, it's not like Lou's doing anything. He's just chilling with his cult, avoiding heirs and stuff like that. Because he also makes a comment about having outlived 3 of them. So,
Word, yeah. The cult is working for him.
Yeah. He's got all those women that he's just, brainwashing. He's got his wife that he's, brainwashing. He's kind of set with the brainwashing and everything.
Yeah.
So, I guess he's got a good deal for a Revenant. I got to find out some information about Dolls. He's afraid of the woods.
Yes. He does not like them.
Which is not great. Why did they separate? They're afraid. He's afraid of the woods, and they separated.
Yeah.
It's rule number 1.
Yeah. First rule of the woods.
Just don't separate. Woods are scary. I do like how he risked the wolf to go get Peacemaker, which was for some reason in a tree.
Yeah.
I'm so wildly unclear about why Peacemaker was all up in that tree, but I like how he risked, going out in the cold when he wasn't wearing like a shirt, like he was just wearing like the undershirt, and he's like to go get Peacemaker. So you got to appreciate that.
Yeah, he was hopped up on that serum stuff. Maybe that
is true.
Maybe it's got a warming effect.
Maybe.
Yeah, we also found out that he was from Arizona. Yep. I thought that was that was probably one of my favorite moments, was like Wynonna telling Dolls that she knows that because she's watched him watch football.
Yeah.
And I like that she's always watching, like even when she's cracking jokes and like people are constantly sort of like dismissing her, or, Dolls thinks he's so sneaky or, like whatever. And yeah, he's not getting one over on her. Like she's always watching people.
I really like that moment too, because it is it's very easy to underestimate Wynonna.
Right.
And he's just, she took it from just a random context clue. Like that's all. And it kind of leads to her ability, kind of like in her position, she's not in her skills aren't bad for, being a BBD agent or whatever, whatever you want to call her. And like maybe the law enforcement thing isn't like completely a random thing for her, because she does have an ability to figure stuff out like that. So, she has moments like that all the time. And like just tracking his phone to find out where he was going because she thought that he was like really sick, and like just seeing her get upset about that too. It's like, oh. But yeah, and like setting his car alarm to get him out once he gets there and stuff like that. Once he's in the warehouse and stuff like that. Yeah, Wynonna gets underestimated a lot.
She does.
And she's a pretty smart cookie.
Speaking of that, like whole warehouse, like showdown thing, I thought it was really funny earlier in the episode when they're listening in at Shorty's bar to, spy on Bobo and his gang. Dolls kind of steers Wynonna right past that Whiskey Jim comment. She's like, who's Whiskey Jim? And he's like, keep paying attention kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it was merely that, Whiskey Jim was in BBD custody. I think Dolls thought that Wynonna would not approve of the treatment, or maybe even just keeping him alive. But she surprised everybody with that. She moved right past Whiskey Jim being, kept in lockdown and just started interrogating him herself. Like just totally not do what Dolls led me to believe she would do.
And honestly, I think had she stumbled on that and they didn't need information, had they stumbled on Whiskey Jim.
Right. Good point.
And not needed information, I think that reaction would have been different. I think the fact that they needed information and that was a priority because Bobo is her priority right now, and seeing that, like knowing that they had access to somebody who could give them that information. Yeah. Changed how she might have reacted. And we don't know for sure, obviously, but I think that's a possibility as well. Like, depending on the circumstances, she might have reacted differently.
And I think we take that clue from Dolls too. I think that's sort of the way he's steering us in the beginning. He also got out of those cuffs real quick. Like, she cuffed him up to the car. It was weird though, because like they weren't broken. So I didn't know, I didn't know what we were supposed to take from that. Like, was it his serum stuff, or did he just pick the lock? Because they kind of look like they'd just been picked to me.
I know, like, they were her cuffs, or whose cuffs were they? They were his own, right?
I think she cuffed him with his own cuffs. No. Did she?
He probably had the key on him.
Well, that was short-sighted.
Well, she didn't need him there for long. She just needed to see what he was up to.
Yeah, true.
She just needed to give herself a head start. So.
Mission accomplished then. Good job.
My guess is, because I think even if they were her cuffs, as far as I know, there's, like, it's fairly easy to use other, like, it's not like they're individualized, they're pretty universal handcuff keys are, I think.
Sure, let's go with that.
I think if he, like, I think it would have been fairly easy if he had his key. I think. I could be really wrong. If anybody wants to correct me about handcuffs, go for it. I've only ever used the ones that have the little thing on the side.
I know, me too.
Yeah, so I wouldn't know. They're pretty easy to break, so. But yeah, no, I think she really just needed to give herself that head start.
Yeah.
I don't think she was too concerned about, like, keeping him there.
It was also cool, like, the ease with which Bobo found Whiskey Jim.
Yeah.
Like, it really underscored that BBD connection, or at least, like, the eyes he has around town. I suppose you could probably take that one way or the other, but he just showed up. Like, he knew exactly where Whiskey Jim was and had been.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't mess with Bobo. I think it also kind of speaks a little bit to that connection he has with the other Revenants, too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot in Purgatory that he doesn't seem to know about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but yeah, it could also be part of it, like that connection he has with the other Revenants. And also probably wasn't super hard to figure out that Dolls had Whiskey Jim, especially because it's been a couple weeks. And he was a fairly high-profile Revenant.
Right.
So it might be something that he's been aware of and he just hasn't bothered and just kind of playing up like he didn't know or something.
Yeah, because he just didn't have use for him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, sure.
Bobo's got a lot going on.
He does.
And, I mean, better Whiskey Jim than somebody else as far as, like, who Black Badge has.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of am curious back to to see what would have happened had they not wanted Whiskey Jim for information. Had Wynonna not wanted him for information. And even Dolls is, like, really reluctant to believe him. Even though it's clear that, like, Lou is somebody that Bobo doesn't mess with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he really didn't want to go down that road, which was kind of interesting.
Right.
You know, the one thing we kind of glossed over, too, is that does kind of raise a very large question as to where where Eve has been the whole time, / Willa, because it's clear that Lou, like, found her maybe fairly recently enough. Especially if she's mouse soft. Like, maybe she was going to be, exiled soon. I don't know, who knows. But it does still raise a question as to where she was at.
That's a good point. She didn't, like I said before, she was less subservient than the others, it seemed. So maybe she hasn't been there as long as they have. And we know she's not the first one. We know that there were others there when she arrived. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a good point.
I guess one thing we should mention, we did get some stuff with Waverly and Nicole, just a little bit.
We did indeed.
I mean, I know that's not why people listen, and that's not why we do this, to talk about Waverly and Nicole, right? I mean, what's to say?
Who are you lying to right now? Like, are you lying to yourself? Are you lying to me? Are you lying to our gentle listeners? What?
Everybody, apparently. Those who still stuck around after our ridiculousness. No, I do really like the Waverly and Nicole scenes we get in this episode. Like, them, like, Nicole pulling her into, like, Nedley's office and stuff like that. But, like, Waverly needs to be responsible for, like, shutting and locking doors because, they get interrupted when Nicole's in charge of it. And I like how Wynonna is completely oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a lot going on, but she is really oblivious. I
mean, there's a difference between, like, obliviousness and having a lot going on, and she definitely hails on the side of obliviousness. Like, that would have immediately been, like...
I like that. Like,
that would have raised questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it would have. I like that Nicole. Like, I like the juxtaposition of it. Like, Wynonna has no idea that they're together, but Nicole is utterly unsurprised to find out about Doc and Wynonna. Like, she absolutely knows. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that too. Where it's like, Doc and I slept together. What? Oh, that's news. To you, and then she just walks away. She's like, I've got paperwork to do over there. we get lots of good Nicole and Waverly in this episode. Mm-hmm. Like, for it not being an episode featuring too much of them, like, what we do get is pretty good. We get mentions of, like, a little black dress a little bit later, and sadly they get interrupted by a police report about an erratically driving pink Cadillac. And I do love, Doc getting the car and then not knowing what to do with it until Waverly's like, why don't you learn how to drive? And he's like, oh, like, he's already with that sledgehammer.
Yeah, he's going to smash it.
Hell. I like the scene where Nicole pulls him over too. It's me, Officer Hot, and I have none of those things. and then Waverly storming up to the car. And you can totally hear when that line is like, I didn't mean for you to disappear without a word. When Dom says it, you can kind of hear her accent slip a little bit. Like there's a change in like her cadence and stuff like that. It's not like a very clear, like, oh, that's a British accent slip, but it definitely slips enough where you notice a shift in how she speaks. And it's funny. It's just on that one word. Like it's just in that sentence. You don't hear it ever.
Yeah. I mean, her accent is pretty flawless.
Well, I mean, it is Dom.
Truth. She's flawless. Yeah.
No, I like that. I kind of forget that it's in this episode, and then I don't know. It's just fun. I enjoy stuff like that. And like I said, I just really like that scene with like Nicole just eating a sandwich in the car as Waverly like just completely reams Doc out.
It's a beautiful moment between Doc and Waverly too, because this is like the first person that she sort of comes out to, tells him that she's trying with Nicole, like she's trying to be open and trying to be present and trying to make this thing work. And Doc's quiet acceptance of Waverly coming out to him is one of my favorite Doc moments, period.
Mine too. I mean, they have such a great friendship.
They do. Kind of
like it's grown into such a nice thing where it's like, they've kind of got like that mutual respect kind of thing going on. Waverly knows Doc's like BS and stuff like that. And just, I love that moment. And I love that, he's a safe person for her, cause she's not going to bust out and talk to Wynonna about it. I did like that. And if I remember correctly, when I interviewed Dominique, we talked about that. So sorry, bear with me because I just pulled it up. Yep, I did. Yeah, I mean, she talked about how they have that underlying trust, even though like he kind of let her down so many times and stuff like that. They've had that connection. They've had that nice connection since the beginning. Yeah, I thought I had forgotten that we talked about that until I was talking about it, and I was like, wait a minute, but. Yeah, now that I've mentioned it, I did get to interview Dominique when this episode aired, or right around when this episode aired. So if you guys want me to, I will send you the link. But yeah, I mean, just her talking about Doc and Waverly, that moment between Doc and Waverly, she did take a good chunk of time watching or like talking about that scene. So it was really nice because I love that scene. I really do. It's a really underappreciated moment, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, and I'll post it online if you guys ask for it. I'll post it if you ask for the link, because I think a lot of people read it. If I remember correctly, it got passed around a bit. But if you're a little bit newer and might have missed it and are curious, just let me know and I'll send you the link. Sometimes that's easier than finding it on my author page if they're white. But yeah, no, I love that moment between Waverly and Doc. It makes me happy.
Me too. We get some more of like Waverly's sort of. I think it's adorable that she's like she keeps like asking if Wynonna is in love with Doc because they're sleeping together or because there's a car, like whatever. I think, you and I have talked a lot about her age, and I think this shows her age in a very like sweet and endearing sort of way,
Yeah.
She hasn't had many relationships, like at least not beyond Champ. And she's just, she's young and she's idealistic and.
Yeah, it's totally like that hopeless romantic thing, do you love him? And Wynonna's just like, it's just sex. But like, no, I do like, I do like that really like that hopeless romantic, that kind of idealistic side of Waverly. I mean, sometimes it does kind of seep into the naivete, but yeah, no, I do like that interaction where it's like, they're so different too.
Yeah, and Waverly's a little bit judgmental. Like, I don't, I love Waverly, obviously. Like, I've said it before, I adore her character. But, she's meticulous and she's idealistic and she's a romantic. And she's obviously not a huge fan of the casual hookup. And she makes that known. But I get that I think that she's worried about fallout too. I think it would be unfair to just leave it at her being judgmental. Yeah. Because she doesn't have a family beyond Wynonna, and Doc and Dolls have become part of her little family. And I think she wants to protect that. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, so I think the whole thing makes her very nervous. And I think at her core, Waverly is an abandoned child, and it's important to remember that.
And she said it, she said it last episode about not really being good with change.
Yeah.
And, with something like that could change a lot of their dynamic and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, because you're right. It's that whole, it's like she doesn't really want to lose what she's got, because she does have Wynonna back. She's kind of got this interesting connection with Doc, who had that relationship with Wyatt, and she's so immersed in the Earp family lore and stuff like that. Yep. That relationship, like I said, has so many important aspects to it. So yeah, she doesn't, and there's protectiveness there's a lot. Waverly has a lot of layers. Wynonna has a lot of layers. They're very layered people. That's what makes them good characters too. That's what part of what makes this show fun. We've got lots of characters with lots of layers.
I love that she charged right into Shorty's too in the beginning of the episode. Oh, yeah. That she just waltzes right in there unarmed, looking for a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love how that was their plan to plant the bug, and they didn't wait for Dolls or anything like they were supposed to, but they're just like, yes, this is our plan. We're going to do this way, and
it's going to be fine.
Unfortunately, she lost her necklace in their infiltration of Shorty's.
She did.
It's damn lucky that Bobo has a revenant with a tin tooth that goes nutty around radio signals.
I loved that so much. I loved Bobo using Cal's head as a bug detector.
Yeah, it was pretty great, but pretty convenient for him too.
That's true, yeah.
I just just the scenes with them planting the bug and then listening in and stuff like that. Like when Waverly's listening in and they're talking about Dolls and stuff like that. And of course Bobo has to mention that Doc and Wynonna slept together, and of course Dolls gets all grumpy about that. Mm-hmm. It's I like the bug planting because it's about as smooth as you would expect it to be. But it works.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of love triangle drama at all, and I know that you're not either. But I did appreciate that as a tactic, Bobo used, because Bobo's all about unsettling his enemies, and moving into Shorty's, outing Doc and Wynonna's romantic entanglement, is sending those shredded BBD docs to Doc before the boxing match when he was at Whiskey Jim's, he even giving Whiskey Jim the green light to rat him out to Wynonna to lead her to lose territory is another example of it, because Bobo can't go there without starting a war, but Wynonna can go there and unseat Lou, who is another enemy of his, Mm-hmm. So I like a villain that gets in your head and plays with your head, and Bobo is just excellent at that.
He really is. He's a good villain, and he is more than just, he's leader of the Revenants for a reason. And he's in the position that he has for a reason, and he's very manipulative. And even he stealing that necklace from Waverly just to bother her and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's just, yeah, he's an interesting character. I really like Bobo. I do. But yeah, it's him using the information. He's very good at using the information that he has.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I do like I'm on my random stuff that I haven't mentioned yet train now. I do like that moment that Dolls has with Wynonna where he tells her not to get all hard and forget that she's human. Mm-hmm. I like that moment that they had. Especially since he's kind of doing some wonky stuff, but he's an agent, he's a government agent. He's kind of expected to toe that line a little bit. But yeah, I did like that moment because the gentle reminders that she needs, I think, sometimes to be like, hey, don't forget that you're human. The only other thing I had as like a random note is I really, really, really like Doc and the pink and blue lesson, because that is actually like an actual thing. Pink used to be a boy's color and blue used to be a girl's color.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember when it changed or why, but yeah, I kind of really appreciated the writers for putting that in there, because not a lot of people know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciated that random, like, Doc is good for the random fun facts sometimes, or random, like, fun way of speaking or whatever. But yeah, I appreciated that from Doc. How he's all excited about the color of the pink Cadillac.
I think it's really cool when they use like language or customs instead of technology to sort of underscore the fact that he's sort of an anachronism, he's out of his own time. And so I think it's not that I don't appreciate, like him getting scared by windshield wipers and stuff like that. I do appreciate it, but I do think it's a little easier to do those things with him. I like it when it's, something based on like language or custom or something like that. I just find it really,
No, I agree with you. Like, it's not just the way he's dressed. It's not just his, having problems with technology. No, there's a lot of layers to, he's very much out of place here, but he's learning, he's adapting. So no, I agree with you. Very much so. Like, it's, I enjoy what they do with him. That's why I like to bring it up, like when we get stuff like that, or when he says things a certain way, or because I just like he has that. I guess we could swing into quotes, because I might have this on my list. I do have this on my list. When Waverly and Doc are talking, and she makes that, you two knocked boots, and now she's giving you gifts. And Doc, please, the gentleman always removes his boots.
I had that one on mine too. I really liked Cal, calm your tits, have a drink.
Yeah. But this was also, back to Waverly's kind of idealistic and naive and, romanticized. This was another, like, Doc calls her out on it, because she's like, ew. And he says, your childish attitude on the matter is noted.
Right, yeah.
But also, like, nobody wants to think about their sibling having sex. That's the other aspect of it.
That's the truth right there.
Like, nobody needs that at all. But yeah, with that, we can really get into quotes, because I don't have anything else, and I know you don't. So, what else you got?
I liked that was code for hands off, douche.
Oh, yeah,
that was good.
Oh, I think Whiskey Jim might have been pulling my boob.
Yeah.
Oh, and after Wynonna hits Eve with the bedpan, sorry, I hope that was clean.
Yeah.
I love that.
There was Yiska's, I sense darkness in you, deceit, and Wynonna's, and usually a pint or two.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Dalt, what do you think? Sacrifice or a seriously off the hook bar mitzvah?
That was good. I also liked Wynonna's, like all the girls that they were finding around town, like look like they've been mauled and everything. And Wynonna was like, this is why I don't do pets. Like,
yeah. Oh, and when Wynonna and Dolls are talking about the mole, she's like, you think we have a mole? Do you think it's me? Like, would I have just told you if I did? I like how, like, just offended she is that even the, like, just the thought that he might think that it's her.
He hadn't made the barest accusation, and she just jumped to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about Doc's, differences. She adores you backline, which is just wonderful.
It is, yeah.
And then when Eve, like when Wynonna comes back and Eve's like, you came back. And she's like, yeah, you watched me take a bath. That bonds for life. Oh, and just Wynonna, what's a Whiskey Jim? Just makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, and I kind of like the conversation that Eve and Wynonna has that starts with Eve saying that guns are the devil's teeth. And she tries to make a joke, like Wynonna tries to like make a joke. It's like, oh, but shiny, right?
Yeah.
And then, mentions like guns ruin lives. I only shoot bad guys. That's the point of me. And when Eve asks, like, how can you tell the good from the bad? And, the good ones are usually scared, but they push past the fear. They do what's right, even when it hurts, even when every instinct is telling them to do nothing to survive. And the good ones are hotter.
And the good ones are hotter.
I just like that. But she had a pretty solid answer, and of course she sandwiched it between humor, because that's what Wynonna does. But that was kind of everything I had on my list. Yeah.
That's it for me, too.
Of course it is. The day that you have more than me is going to be a shock.
It's going to happen.
Maybe. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
But yeah, that kind of wraps me up for our spoiler-free section. I've got quite a bit of spoiler stuff, but...
Good, because I don't.
Excellent! Alrighty, well with that, let's go ahead and wrap up this section. So thank you everybody for listening and everything, and everybody who shared. And once again, we are going to use our nifty commercial in between our spoiler-free and spoiler-filled sections. So once again, thank you to the people at Earp Fiction Addiction for that commercial that we will continue to use. So also give them a shout out and a follow. It's a cool podcast.
Yeah, they're awesome people.
So with that, Lara, where can they find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RS Mayfair.
Alrighty. And you can find me on Twitter at CMeushaw. That's at CMEUSHAW. You can check out 4YE, the site that we both write for, at 4_Y_E, and that is the number 4. And then you can find the podcast at 4YE_MYP podcast. So you can go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter, and you can get all the episodes of the podcast there. We are also on YouTube. You can find our podcast that way if that's a little bit easier to listen to for you, and a comment. And we do respond to messages and everything. If you've got comments, sometimes it takes us a minute, but we do see it. Mm-hmm. So with that ends our spoiler-free section. So if you want to listen to our spoiler-filled, stick around. Otherwise, see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Make Your Peace Podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all of the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace Podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace Podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Alrighty, so thanks to all of you who are sticking around to listen to our spoiler-filled part of the podcast. And just a reminder, this is spoilers for the rest of Season 1, all of Season 2, and any Season 3 news or speculation. In theory, we will catch up by the time Season 3 airs, but just in case. Speaking of Season 3, we got some fabulous news today, and apparently the Wynonna Earp season premiere will air twice the week of the 20th. It will air Monday, July 16th, at 11 o'clock, I believe, and on Sci-Fi. And then it will air on Friday, July 20th. So if you're planning to record, if you need to set your DVR, make sure you record both. If possible, make sure you watch both, or at least, and live tweet and stuff like that. The Friday premiere is definitely important, but the Monday date will help too. So we get it twice in 1 week, which is not an awful thing. So make sure you also give a shout out to Sci-Fi to thank them for giving us that, because it's pretty cool.
It is.
So quick Season 3 note. Also, we are recording this on June 6th. I only mention that because I know the trailer is being shown at some event or something like that on Friday, and I believe that is when it'll get dropped. So this episode will probably come out after the trailer gets dropped, but we were recorded beforehand. So I am just slow with editing. So I wanted to make that note. We do have the trailer coming, so we will talk about that next time. What am I missing? I'm missing something else for season 3.
There was the photo shoot, but yeah.
Pictures. Yes. Entertainment Weekly also had some exclusive photos for season 3. They're promo photos, and I will remember to retweet the link so you can check our Twitter for that. I will do it when we stop recording, or I will do it when I'm editing and realize that I forgot to do that. That's kind of how that's going to go. If you haven't already seen them, we got some promo photos. We've got, Doc, Dolls, Wynonna individually. We've got a Way Hot photo, and then we've got a Wynonna and Doc photo, and we have a new character, a photo of one of the new characters played by Chantel Riley. She looks like she's going to be a fortune teller of sorts. So, based on the photo we don't have a lot of info about her character. It really will be. So, yeah, I'm kind of hoping we're going to get more photos, mostly because I'm looking forward to Waverly and Nicole having individual photos.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's more in the bunch. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Way Hot, but I also love them individually, and they deserve their own photos. They're badasses in their own right, so I'd like to see that. I'm kind of hoping that was only some of the
I hope so too. I also just thought it was kind of weird because it seemed like everybody was sort of hitting the same note, but they weren't. Yeah. So that was a little strange to me. Like, even Jeremy had a gun. Jeremy? Like, okay. So that was, but Nicole doesn't? All right, that's fine.
There was a definite different feeling and, like, tone shift between, like, everybody else, like, kind of, like, yeah, we got work to do, and then they're being all cuddly. So.
Yeah.
Again, I
Which
love
is
Way Hot.
sweet. Yeah, it's nice. But, like, I also think that it would have been cool to have each of them have their own photo first and then get, like, a cute couple picture. That's just me. I don't know. Whatever. You can at me if you want to.
You. Yeah, it's not just you. But still just at Laura. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's not just you, but please throw the shade at Laura. That's fine. I'll take it.
No, you can just at the podcast, because we both have the same feelings about it. Like I said, I love Way Hot. I think it's a very cute photo, and I adore them being all cute and cuddly. It was just a weird tone shift from all the like, it was like boom, 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 and then aw, and it was just kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I did want to at least mention those, and we've got the season 3 like big poster, so
which is awesome.
We got even closer. Yeah, we've gotten even closer to Wynonna's face.
Yeah.
So
zooming in, it's going to be just her eyeball next time.
Yeah, probably.
Season 4.
What will they do for season 6?
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I know, right?
Is that a capillary?
Who knows? Maybe we'll just get a really far shot. It'll go in the completely opposite direction. It's just all of a sudden it'll be like really far away.
She's just a speck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like, that's Wynonna, I promise. It's like, okay, sure. But I think that was all of the season 3 related news I had.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Don't forget season 2 on Netflix. Probably by the time this episode drops, season 2 will already be on Netflix. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Editing takes time, y'all. But yeah, so make sure you start bullying your family and friends who haven't seen it into watching the series so we can get more viewers. Make deals.
Bargain.
I got my sister to watch. Yeah, I got my sister to watch by promising to watch a season of a show that she likes. So, promise seasons of shows, promise books, movies, whatever. Make deals with people, because you'll get them hooked. So that's I think now I'm done. No, okay. Now I actually have episode spoilery things to discuss. Oh, I also did want to mention Lara and I had that discussion about, how I'm not wrong about continuity, and the thing that we were talking about was, I made that comment about last episode being Gus's last episode. I was wrong. And I need to address that. So
it finally happened.
I know. So yeah, I'm sure somebody will mention it in the comments of our previous episode. Yes, I'm aware of it. I forgot that she shows up in this episode, and I believe the next episode. So that was my bad. There's a lot that happens, and it's been a while since I rewatched season 1 outside of rewatching for the podcast, and I'd only do that one episode at a time when we record. So, might be about saying a thing and then being all like, hey, I was right about this thing, and then being wrong in some way about the thing.
It happens.
So, yeah, it was just not great. It was not great timing for me. So I wanted to mention that because I know somebody's going to be listening and being like, hey, and yes, I know. But yeah, I had some spoiler stuff, but none of it's like super major. Like, I know I've mentioned it a few times, but this was like the BBD mole thing was never addressed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like it might come back up, but so far it has not been addressed.
Yeah, it could come back up. They're gonna return, so.
Mm-hmm. And watching Wynonna hit Willa on the with the bedpan is like super satisfying after finishing the season.
She like my spoiler note for Willa is just, oh Willa, you're gonna make me so angry with you.
Pretty much.
Like that's all I can say about that character.
Well, yeah, a lot of it's not polite. A lot of the other things you can say, it's just not polite. But yeah, no, it's so satisfying on that rewatch. So I kind of love that moment.
Hit her again,
right? Maybe kick her a little bit. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. Don't kick people. Hitting people with bad pants is okay. I'm sending mixed messages.
I thought it was cool. Bobo kind of flexed his powers in Shorty's, but I also like that the necklace that he took from Waverly,
Mm-hmm.
which was Willa's
Yeah.
necklace, was a bird.
Mhm.
Because later when we find the scary treehouse where she was brainwashed and preyed upon, it's full of paper cranes.
Yeah.
And I thought I always thought that was something to do with Bobo's last name, his real last name, Robert Svane or Swan. But now I'm thinking maybe she's always loved birds and it was a comfort thing.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could go
right
anywhere to that. And honestly, we know Bobo was kind of preying on Waverly in a way when she was little, but we don't necessarily know that somehow Bobo didn't give that necklace to her. Like, maybe...
Oh, good point. Yeah, wow.
Maybe it came from Bobo in a way, like maybe not necessarily since Bobo was technically Waverly's imaginary friend, but, maybe something happened there. I do think it's interesting because in an initial watch of this episode, it looks like he's just doing it to be an ass.
Right.
But he's just, trying to take something from them, but it's more to it. It's, that's a piece of Willa that he wants.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about taking it from Waverly. It's about having it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that you kind of catch on a rewatch. And also, we find out in season 2 that he maybe bought Shorty's for another reason than to just stick it to Wynonna, because there's that seal in the basement.
Yeah.
Or he moves the seal there. He moves the seal there, doesn't he? I don't remember. Don't at me about continuity about that one. I just don't know.
There's always a hellmouth in the basement. You noticed?
Always.
Always.
Very good point. And then one other thought I had, especially when we were talking with, Bobo basically sending Wynonna after Lou by telling Whiskey Jim to, go ahead and tell her to go ahead and be like, hey, you can talk. It's fine.
Uh-huh.
Do you think Bobo maybe thought that Lou had Willa?
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it? I mean, it would be like the one place within the triangle that he can't look, right? Because he says, I can't enter his land, and he's not supposed to leave his land. So it could have been that. It could have been, one more place for him to at least check off the list.
Especially because he knows that Constance doesn't have her.
Yeah, right, yeah.
He just found out that Constance doesn't have Willa. So, Because it seems like a weird move to, I mean, I guess it is kind of an opportunistic thing since Lou was mentioned and Bobo could have, you know, taken him out. But I'm also wondering, since a lot of times Bobo has like a lot of multi-layered kind of motivations for things, you know, you also want, like, it made me wonder, just us talking about it made me wonder if maybe he thought that Lou might have had Willa. Like, or I'm just reaching. I could be reaching.
I don't know. I mean, it was like really dealt with that, like, he can't go there and everything. And that is where she ended up being. So in theory, that would be like the one place he couldn't check for himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really don't think that that's reaching.
Excellent.
Yeah. Also, like, super random, that Yiska guy, Lou, wasn't he on Orphan Black or just like some other Canadian show? Okay, thank you. I was like, God, where do I know him from? Okay, I thought so.
Yes. So anybody else who was wondering, why do I recognize that Canadian actor? He also does show up in season 4 or 5 of Orphan Black. I cannot remember which one he was in.
Okay, yeah.
I was about to be really impressive, but now I don't remember. So sorry, guys. But yeah, he does. He shows up in Orphan Black. He's not a great dude.
Yeah. No, he's not.
He's kind of a shady dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was really all I had spoiler-wise. I didn't have a lot, and a lot of it was really random tiny things, and I know I talked a lot, so I'm sorry.
All good, man. You were covering for me. I didn't have much.
Excellent.
I think I just shut down when it comes to Willa, you know? I'm like, oh.
That's not going to be good in the next several episodes, dude.
I know. Sorry. I'll get over it.
Good, because I mean,
I'll work through it.
Oh, we're going to have fun next week. Because next week's when no, sorry, we're not, it's the week after. It's episode 12. That's the one where you like really want to shank her. My bad.
I was going to, yeah. I thought she kind of hung around a little while longer before she got real awful.
Yeah, no, I jumped the gun on the barn bit. That barn scene.
Yes.
That was a little evil, like, not gonna lie.
Thanks.
The way you just said that.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Yeah.
You're welcome. And with that,
okay.
unless there's anything else we have
no.
to address,
God, no.
before we completely go off the rails again, I think that's going to be it for this episode then. So Thank you so much for sticking around with us, and we will see you next time for episode 11.
Thanks, guys.